So I'll take the privilege of introducing our guest, Sumawo Sarkar, who's an alumnus of the batch 2007-2009. And right now, he's holding the position of Senior Account Director, Advertising Solutions of LinkedIn. As a senior sales executive with an established reputation as a top performer, he solutions in India, having a proven record of meeting ambitious growth targets. He's passionate about delivering successful business results by driving top line revenue growth, adapting to shifting demands and priorities. With 12 plus years of experience, he has the ability to drive results across industry verticals at Naukri.com, PGI, Vodafone, Gartner, and at LinkedIn currently, utilizing industry knowledge, strategic planning, and consultative skills. He takes pride in establishing trust-based relationships with colleagues, business partners, and clients to deliver results. He thoroughly enjoys the solution selling experience that demands understanding clients' business and marketing objectives, creating outcome-based solutions, helping them have a meaningful conversation with their prospects, and providing unique insights to derive value to their investments. He's a really enthusiastic about building the business, solving clients' challenges, demonstrating success by unlocking their potential, thereby constructing meaningful relationships. And thankful that he's been able to engage these passions daily at his current role with LinkedIn. His passion lies in constantly evolving world of technology and all things that are digital. A quick note to all of you. We'll be taking questions at the end of the session, so you can type your questions in the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen. So over to you, Sumawo. I'm sure it will be a pleasure to listen to you.
Thank you, ma'am. I really appreciate the introduction. Hey, friends, good evening. Firstly, a warm welcome to the New Delhi Institute of Management family. I'm sure that this will be the best 2 years that you will have of your lives, right? So with that, what I'll do is I have a quick deck. It's not a busy deck. Trust me, guys. I know that it's fag end of the day. And I have been in your places as well. So I'll try to make it very interactive, very engaging. And before we start, you can pose to me any kind of queries that you have on top of your head, right? And don't think that, okay, this might look silly or this might look the best. Don't think anything around it. Make sure that you have the questions coming in, and I'll try to make sure that I answer most of them to the best of my abilities. Makes sense, I guess. So with that, I'll just share my screen very quickly. I hope that you guys can see my screen. A quick thumbs up will do. Sangeeta ma'am, Bhumika ma'am, anyone?
Yes, we can.
All right, cool, awesome.
All good.
All right. So as ma'am mentioned, just a quick intro about myself, perhaps a quick two-liner. I have been in the industry for the past 12 years. Now, worked across multiple organizations, both domestic as well as mostly global MNCs. Been a sales guy all through my life. But having said that, I have had the opportunity to kind of engage and interact with different LOBs within a business, from a CIO's organization to a chief marketing officer's organization to a chief sales officer's organization. So have never kind of settled never felt like I have to be in a comfort zone, right? So in my current role with LinkedIn, most of you might be aware of LinkedIn. If not, I have a very interesting segment coming up today, right? So I manage some of the key global relationships from LinkedIn marketing solutions standpoint, and I help them to drive meaningful engagement on the platform so that they get ROI out of their investments with us. My role entails me to kind of engage and collaborate with some of global peers from across the globe, as well as different cross-functional partners. So it's a holistic experience that I'm living up at this point of time, right? So with that, I'll just quickly take you through the agenda that I have for today. It's, as I promised, it's not very busy. It's just about making sure that you are set up for success as you start your this wonderful journey of with New Delhi Institute of Management. So we will cover a bit around how we can you can make a success of this 2 years, right? Then I'll just quickly take you through some of the reflections, some of my learnings, share some of my experiences of these 12 years that I have spent in the industry. And as I promised to all of you, I'll make sure that you will be rock stars on LinkedIn going forward if you kind of follow some quick tips and tricks that I have in store for you guys. Hope that makes sense for all of you. So at the outset, it's very, very crucial that you make the most of these 2 years. I do believe that all of you might have come from different backgrounds, different cities. Some of you might be engineers, some of you might be graduates and graduates in science, commerce, arts. Honestly, folks, it doesn't really matter. All right, so you don't have to think that, okay, I have come from a only a graduation, I'm not an engineer, I might feel like what I'm doing out here, it doesn't really, it doesn't really make any difference, trust me. From my perspective, I'm not an engineer, right? I'm a graduate, I'm a science graduate. But what I did in this 2 years, 2007-9, was something which still holds true today also, 12 years or 13 years hence. And so it's about building those blocks, building your foundation strong in these 2 years, which can help you set up for success as we go along. So I think four things very, very important to ensure that you are achieving what you have set out to achieve, right? So I think number one goes without saying, discipline, right? I know that the times are tough. I know that you guys perhaps are still having online classes, virtual classes rather than physical classes. Now, physical classes, of course, makes a difference. Ask me. I have been working out of my home for the past 6 months, right? And it's not easy, right? Balancing household chores and then you have to do what you need to do, what you're expected to do from your office perspective. Also, it's not easy, and I'm sure that you guys are also facing various challenges. Like, people might be coming from slightly smaller cities where internet might be an issue, or you might not have a device, or you might not have a dedicated study setup at your homes or at your places. Just that, remain focused, right? It's not the end of the world, right? Yeah, we know that we are living through a bit of troubled times, right? But this too shall pass, right? So it's important that we keep our focus strong, ensure that we are doing what we are supposed to do, making sure that we are completely aligned to what our faculty is trying to make us learn, right? Because there are certain things, I believe, in the curriculum which might be completely new to for all of you, right? I know someone who has come from a finance background might not know a bit around, say, marketing management, for example, right? And vice versa. So it's important that you make the best use of that time that you have with your faculty, and also make sure that you are also exchanging a lot of ideas within your peer group, right? So make sure that you have this attitude of being in it together, so that you all achieve success together. And it's so more true now more than ever else, right? So discipline is very important. Stay focused and stay humble, and of course stay hungry for more knowledge, right? Number two, dedication goes without saying, right? You need to be dedicated in your craft. I'm sure that this has been a coming into India is not easy, right? You might have gone through several interview rounds and GDs and PIs and stuff like that. You also had to write exams and all. So make use of this time, right? Because this is the final stepping stone before you go into a next level or a different level altogether, right? This can actually mold you, help you to be the person that you want to become, maybe 5 years down the line or 10 years down the line, right? So I'm not saying that you need to, of course, you need to study all the time. No, no, we all have our share of fun, but important thing to kind of remember always is to stay dedicated in whatever we are doing. Hard work doesn't beats nothing, right? So it's that time of it holds true for all the times, but especially in these 2 years, because whatever you do in these 2 years can mold you, can help you, can shape you for the next 20 odd years, right? So think of it in that way. Take a more longer term perspective rather than thinking just that I have to complete this 2 years and move on. No, this is the 2 years. This is the foundation. So make sure that the foundation is as strong as possible. Number three, determination. Again, you need to make sure that you are determined in your approach, in your thinking, in your mindset. Having a growth mindset always helps. What can I do more? What can I learn more? What can I achieve more? Right? Set yourself goals, even if and those goals can be different from your trimester exams or your semester exams, right? Or your class tests or whatever it is. The goals could be there is a project going on, right? How can I be the best in that project, right? Or there is a college fest, if things come back to normal again, hopefully very soon. There is a college fest and you're representing your college. How can I be the best version of myself, or how can we be the best version of ourselves as a team? So you need to persevere. You need to have the right persistence to make sure that you are razor sharp focused on your goal, and you are taking those baby steps as you go along in your journey to achieve your goal, right? Have a sense of purpose, and your willpower will absolutely help you to get there. Number four, and which I feel is super critical at this point of time, is becoming future ready. Now when I say future ready, I mean how you can think beyond your course curriculum, right? Your course curriculum is fantastic, right? So it helps you develop that that intuition in you that you're ready for the industry, but that might not be enough, right? So it's important that how you upgrade yourselves, right? So one of the things that I have always thought through whenever I have thought around MBA programs or PGDM programs is, you have done your engineering or you have done your graduation, right? And there you have gained significant technical knowledge, be it maybe you are an engineer in computer software, for example, so you have an expertise in certain things, right? Or you may be a BCom, or you may be a BBA, whatever that degree might be, but you have expertise, you have technical expertise in something. The thing that you have to work upon as you go along is, along with your technical skills, honing your technical skills, it is also about the softer skills that you develop. Things like how you can develop empathy, right? How you can develop collaboration, how you can have a partnership driven mindset, right? And I'm going beyond LOBs. It is not, this statement is not limited to folks in sales marketing. It's equally applicable to folks who are choosing for, say, HR as a specialization or finance as a specialization, right? You will have stakeholders, right? So today your stakeholders in your world could be your friends, your batchmates, your classmates, your faculty, your placement officers, and so on and so forth. Tomorrow those stakeholders will be internal and external, right? If you are joining in the finance arm of a company, then you need to be friends with the marketing folks, you need to be friends with the sales folks, you need to be friends with the CEO's office, as well as there might be situations where you are engaging with external stakeholders and clients as well. So be future ready, try to upskill yourself, right? It doesn't have to be like a rocket science. Make sure that you are upskilling based on skill sets that you feel you can improve upon, right? It could be as basic as, say, how should I present myself, right? Or how can I be an effective presenter? There are loads of courses out there, but your journey shouldn't stop there. Like, okay, I have taken a Sumava sir has told that we should do a certification, we should do a certification. No, your pursuit of excellence, right, should not stop there. It should also, you should also think beyond how we can apply those skills, right? So if you are, getting an internship out in any small organization also, right, and even if they don't pay you, it's okay. You gain that experience. For example, you take up a course on digital marketing, right? On digital marketing is something which is very close to my heart, so that is one thing that came top of my mind. So you want to take up a course in digital marketing, right? Now there are tons of courses out there, tons of providers who provide digital marketing courses, sometimes free, sometimes paid. You can take up those courses based on your convenience. But what do you do with that certificate? Is it only because you want to paste that onto your resume? That will not take you places. What will take you places is how you apply that. So think about it. So you take up a digital marketing course, and maybe after taking up the course, you actually help NDIM build a digital marketing strategy, right? Which and there you show tangible outcomes, measurable outcomes. That makes a whole lot of different impact when it comes to you, showcasing your skill sets or your resume being there in the industry. So don't limit yourself only to upskilling. Also try to find out small projects. I'm not talking about big projects. I'm talking about small projects. There are so many freelancers who do that, right? So take up projects and do it, because trust me, there is nothing like real time experience or real world experience, right? Your faculty will help you to gain all the theoretical knowledge as well as bits of practical knowledge, but it is upon us, right, to uh, to decide how we apply that knowledge, those skill sets that we have gained. So I believe that if we have a healthy mix of these four things: discipline, dedication, determination, and being future ready, that sets us up for success as we go along, right? And of course, as ma'am mentioned at the beginning, please feel free to put up your Q&A on any segment that you feel you can know you have some questions about. Moving on, a bit of my professional journey, right? So I think these are the four things that I have always believed is important and has worked for me. So like you, just to give you a quick perspective or a context, uh, I am from the 2007 2009 batch, and as you might know, you guys might have been slightly smaller in age at that point of time, but in 2008 we were hit with a big economic recession, right? Which basically meant that big banks in the US went bankrupt, and it had a cascading effect on how companies were hiring and how companies were looking at talent back in 2008. Now, as you know, at that point of time, 2007-9 means 2008. As you go into the second year of your program, you start getting interviewed by companies, right? So 2008, I did my internship with Prognosis eServices, which was a leading market research firm at that point of time, with a paid internship. That was one of its kind at that point, right? And I was very hopeful that I'll get a PP or a pre-placement offer, because the work that I did was appreciated by the leaders out there, right? But when it came to the placement season per se, 3-4 months henceforth after the internship was over, they never came back to the campus, because although they were a good firm, right, but they didn't have the legs to hire people at that point of time, just because of the market uncertainty, right? What we are going through today is very similar to what I went through or my batchmates went through at that point of time. But something, you know, don't lose hope. We should never lose hope, right? It's very important that we stay humble. We do the right things, right? I'll also share one more experience, right? So I was hired by a big market research firm with a pretty fat salary at that point of time, right? And then the offer letter got frozen. And as you can imagine, I was like shell shocked. I didn't have any prior industry experience or work experience also. Like many of you, perhaps I did my graduation and straight got into my MBA program. So I was at a loss. Like I was away from my family. I have been living away from my family at that point of time for the past 5-6 years. Have been away since my 10th standard, right? So I didn't know what to do. I didn't have a mentor as well, like to guide me, to help me, to support me. But that's where my placement officers in the college became my best friends, right? We used to make sure that it is for all of us and not me. It was for the team. It was for the whole batch and not me. I was part of the student community committee on placement teams on the placement side of things, right? And we were making cold calls, right? Like helter and skelter, every company, trying to reach out to HR whether you can come to the campus or not. Now this helped me to unlock a side of me which I think didn't exist, which was basically that I can speak with people properly on the phone as well. I can help set up meetings, and that set the no foundation for me to have a full-time career in sales. And trust me guys, I have never regretted my decision, right? So Naukri came in, which was 99 acres at that point of time, right? And I uh, thankfully I went through the interview rounds, and I got the placement. And I was the first one in the college to start work. I still remember 2nd Jan 2009 was my official first working day in the industry. Although my course was supposed to be completed in May or June 2009, right? So I was based out of Bangalore. So I did my graduation in Bangalore, went to Delhi for my post grad, but I wanted to come back to Bangalore. So they gave me Bangalore as my place of posting, right? So every 3 months we had a trimester scheme, trimester program. So every 2-3 months I used to go and give my exams and come back. That was a different experience altogether. So the point out here is that at the end of the day, I think you own your careers, right? And that statement, folks, trust me, will not change ever. Okay, whatever the situation is, be it today, be it maybe 20 years down the line when you are a top CEO or a top MD or a top C-suite, person in a big company, this doesn't change ever. So you have to own your careers. You have to not only your career, you have to own everything that you do, right? Uh, don't second guess on things, right? Even if you have made a mistake, right? It's okay. And that takes me to my second point, that it's good that when you take intelligent risks, right? Now if you see my career graph per se, and please feel free to connect with me post this call on LinkedIn. I will be happy to kind of help you and support you. So I have always taken intelligent risks, right? So I started with 99acres.com, which was a property portal, right? I was selling ads at that point of time, online ads, right? Not in the form that you see today. It was a very different world at that point of time. Imagine we are in an economic recession. Real estate was one area that was severely impacted, right? There were no new investments coming in. People didn't have money, and that's why they were not investing in residential properties. Since offices had been impacted, there was a huge dip in the demand for commercial properties as well. But I took that chance, right? And that helped me to look at the market very, very closely, right? I was on the ground literally 6-7 hours a day, right? My manager used to push me, but and I went through difficult times. Trust me, your first role, it was a quota based role, so you had to achieve quota. And then there were incentives also, which was a big thing and still a big thing for me today. But there is one advice which my manager had given me at that point of time, which I still remember, and is very close to my heart, is that there are tough situations, and when things are very, very tough, right, you take it on a quarter basis, or things are more tougher, you take it on a monthly basis. Now say this to yourself, that okay, I will survive this quarter, or I'll survive this month. And it is not like it can happen only in, folks in sales and marketing. It can happen with anybody. But the important thing is that believing in yourself, believing in your abilities, believing that you are the best, right? And taking those intelligent risks, right? I shifted industries after that point of time, right? I have worked in, as I mentioned, in the online real estate space, right? From there I went to telecom. Okay, so it was a very niche company that I went into. They were just starting off in India, and I was their third employee. Lot of fun and a lot of things to learn. Although my designation was something different, but I was doing something entirely different, right? So that was the job where they gave me exposure to the finance side of things as well, how balance sheets work, how profit and loss works, right? I was at a very young age. I was managing a huge telco globally, right? Then I moved into, I was in telecom for 4 or 5 years, and then I moved into, research and consulting with Gartner, right? One of the biggest IT research firms in the world. And then I had a very happy life. Trust me, I had a very comfortable life. But I asked myself this question, that whether I want this life or whether I want all this comfort. And the answer was no, I didn't want it. So I had to take the next leap. And I knew that digital was coming in a big way, at least in India, right? So, and that's where, I kind of, LinkedIn contacted me, and that's how things, started rolling with them. But the thing that I wanted to kind of pass on to you guys is that don't forget, or don't ever be scared to take risks. It's important to take risks. Either you succeed or you learn. You never lose, right? And it is not a cliche; it is a fact. All right. And the third thing is relationships matter. Whatever you do, whatever you do today, wherever you might be, in 5 years' time, right? Always, value your relationships, and try to have trust-based relationships, not only with your stakeholders but with everyone. It includes your family, it includes your friends, because you never know what relationships can do for you, right? Uh, I have a very strong network, not only on LinkedIn, but as a whole in the industry, because I have built it over a period of time, right? There has been a conscious effort from my end to give value and take value. It cannot be a one-way street ever. So you have to give value to take value. One interesting thing that I wanted to share with all of you is, for this LinkedIn job, I never applied for that role. And this role, they took around 1 year before they actually shared that offer letter with me. Okay, so I don't know how they found me in this ocean out there of professionals, but they did, right? And we spoke for a very long time, right? They had to convince me that yes, LinkedIn is the right place for you. And that's how I ended up taking that job. But I guess I had built certain relationships within LinkedIn, although I was not working with LinkedIn, but I knew folks out there, right? And that helped me when I went for an interview, or when I wanted to understand how is the company culture is, whether they value people or not, and stuff like that, right? So it's important that you build long-term relationships. Relationships should not be like, okay, I have to build a relationship with him or her just because I want to get this work done. Doesn't work that way. So you might find out that okay, it might have worked 2 or 3 times, but trust me, this world is round, right? So this will come back to haunt you one day or the other. So make sure that you take time to build relationships, right, with the right people. But once you have built that relationship, never lose it. Okay. Number four, growth mindset. This is my favorite. You know, it all, if you carefully look at the three tenets that I have already covered, it all goes back to that growth element, right? Why I don't want to be in my comfort zone, because I feel that my growth will be inhibited. And growth not only in terms of monetary value, yes, that's a big part of it, agreed, right? But growth is also in terms of learning, growth in terms of how you can bring value to your clients, growth in terms of how you bring value to your company. All these things will matter in the long run. And I'm a firm believer that you should not take decisions only with a 3 month or a 6 month time frame or a runway. Your runway should be long, and then you assess as you go along in that journey. right? So it's been already been like 2.5 years for me in LinkedIn, right? And I'm very happy in this space because I get to learn every day. I get to work with very talented individuals, very intelligent individuals, as well as fun individuals. That that gets me going, right? Because the moment learning stops, I feel that it's either your company doesn't need you or you don't need that company. So either of the two ways, right? So learning should be a key element whenever you're taking career decisions, apart from other stuff like money or relocation or family comfortability, whatever it is. But if you ask yourself, or if I ask myself today, learning is one thing that 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 helps you to have that growth mindset, helps you to achieve more, right? You basically set the bar higher as you go along, right? Because without that growth mindset, you will be like, uh, okay, I'm in this spot, let me be there. It's fine and it might look good, but you never know when that mindset of yours can come back to haunt you in future. So have that growth mindset. And growth doesn't have to be, as I mentioned, growth only doesn't have to be on monetary terms. It could be on absolute terms. It could be on terms which might not be measurable as well. So have that growth mindset, own your careers, own your life, basically take intelligent risks, and of course build those long-term relationships. Very, very important. Build trust, build empathy, and be genuine and authentic in whatever you do. Don't take shortcuts, please, because uh, I've seen people suffer. They that can bring in quick successes, but that damages your perception, that damages your profile as you go along. And I'm sure that you all want to have a fulfilling career and not a 5-year career. So do the hard yards. Smart work is of course important, but doesn't replace the hard yards or the hard work that you put in. All right, moving into my favorite section, right? As I promised to all of you, right? I want all of you to be LinkedIn rock stars, right? Just a quick context, folks, before I get into it. Uh, LinkedIn today is 68 million plus members strong in India, which is 6.8 crores, close to 7 crores, right? And trust me, in the last couple of years, right, our growth in terms of our member base has been driven by the student community. Okay, there's a lot of students who are very active on the platform, very engaging. Okay, some of them are students like you, doing postgrad MBA. Some of them are doing graduation. Some of them have just started their career, and there is a lot of mentoring, coaching, networking that happens on the platform, right? So if you are not on LinkedIn, make sure that you are one. I'm there to help you, support you in making a rockstar profile for you. All right. So let's go. So how do you build a great student profile, right? So I'm not going to each and everything of it. It's very self readable. I'm sure that the faculty team would be sharing this deck. I'll be sharing this deck with them so that you can use it for future reference as well. But it's important that you have a good profile photo, right? As they say, right? First impression is the last impression. Can't be more truer than LinkedIn. So make sure that you have a good profile photo. uh, don't go by Instagram or Facebook. It's fine out there, but we also want to be cool. Doesn't it doesn't have to be, you don't want to be cool, but it's just that it has to be slightly professional, right? But I think photo is very crucial. But the important thing I think is, since you are starting off as students, make sure that you are capturing everything, right from the college that you have studied to whichever college, like NDIM that you are studying now. We have a page of NDIM on LinkedIn, right? Mention the projects that you are doing, okay, because that catches an eye, right, of people whom you are trying to network with, right? Make sure that you are trying to update all the skills that you have. It might be as mundane as, say, storytelling, but it's okay. Write it off. Okay. Don't think too much. The point that I'm trying to make is, there is this perceived thing that we think in our heads, that okay, it's LinkedIn. How should I? I need to look good. How should I do my profile? It's fine. Don't think too much around it. Just be authentic. Just be true. Just tell the truth out there. Okay. You don't have to make it up. you just say whatever you have done in your life, because so that, for example, a recruiter sees you or your profile, okay, or any industry veteran sees your profile, and they see that as part of your skills, digital marketing is there. I keep coming back to digital marketing. I'm sorry, folks, but I'm just taking it as an example. Uh, then they start questioning about you. So they connect with you, and then they might question you, or might ask you, what do you know about digital marketing, right? So if you haven't done anything on digital marketing, then you are in a spot. And trust me, word flows very quickly within the industry. Okay. So my humble request, be authentic, be genuine. Okay. So even if you feel like you haven't done enough projects, that's okay. I'm sure that you have done one project in your life, maybe in school, maybe in plus two, maybe in college. It's okay to put up one project. That's fine. But build a profile. Start connecting with people, right? The algo is very intelligent. Once they see you, that you have started engaging on the platform, they will give you a lot of recommendations. Okay. Share your good work, share your achievements. Again, it's really important, because since you guys, I think majority of you might not have work experience, it's important that you showcase your achievements out there. Achievements could be, uh, you have been an NCC cadet, for example. It doesn't have to be from your field of study, right? It could be anything, right? You might have been an under 19 cricketer of your state, right? Something like that, right? So people see various facets of a personality, right? They don't only look at what you have done in your academic life, right? That is one thing, but the other thing is that how holistic are you as a person? Because at the end of the day, if you ask me, right, and I do a fair bit of recruiting as well, I recruit humans, I don't recruit machines, right? So it's important that we show our human side. Okay. It's okay if you are vulnerable, it's okay, it's perfectly fine, right? But it's important that we are genuine, we are authentic in whatever we are doing. All right. So this is very self-explanatory, self-readable. Okay. Go through it, and let me know if you have any questions. Happy to take out time to help you, support you guys on this. The next piece is how you build your personal brand, right? One of my big favorites, right? As I was saying, be authentic, really important. Create a distinctive headline, right? Your headline could be, if you have done a project on, um, for example, market research. Okay, so how you helped a company gain deep insights in a particular territory. That could be your headline, because your headline differentiates you from the rest of the crowd. Trust me, today, out of the 68 70 million members that we have on the platform in India, I would say one fourth of it are students, which is roughly like 15-20 million, plus and minus. How can you create your own unique space in that 15-20 million audience? These are some tips and tricks which can help you, right? uh, Start engaging on the feed, and start posting on the feed. Okay. uh, it could be as innocuous as celebrating something that you guys have done as a team. For example, you have a team presentation, right, that you have to present to your faculty, right, and guys have done a fantastic job. Write about it, maybe include those slides, because it helps you to build engagement and get noticed on the platform. Okay. Use this habit, make sure that you keep yourself updated, right? There are so many companies that you have to do research for, in this 2 years, in this program, right? LinkedIn could be your de facto search engine for those, right? Because it gives you all the information, right, from what the company does to what their employee size is, headquarters, latest and greatest innovations, what is the latest product launch, everything. So you don't have to go to different places to search that information, because all that information is there for your at your convenience, right there on LinkedIn, right? So make sure that you are engaged on the platform. You are building trust based relationships on the platform, and please don't Don't think of it as Twitter. Okay, so make sure that even if you are disagreeing with somebody's point of view, do it in a respectful way, in a parliamentary way. Don't don't be, I would say, trolls. Trolls is the word, right? Don't be trolls out there. Okay, it's okay that we can have different point of views, and people appreciate that, people respect that, but it's the way that we bring out those views is of paramount importance. You don't want yourself to be projected as someone uh, who is uh, although you might have a good point of view, but you are not presenting it in the right way. Positioning of your point of view is very, very crucial, right? Uh, Position it in the correct way, and if people find value in that, they will start engaging with you. They will try to learn more about you, and that's where your profile or completeness of your profile that I captured in the last slide becomes very, very important. Okay, so and the other thing is that give generously, help others. Okay, uh, and you might think that, okay, I'm just doing my MBA now, I'm still not a professional, like a working professional, what help can I give? Trust me, you can be of immense help to different people. Okay, uh, someone might be looking at freelancers for doing some projects. Raise your hand and say that, sir, can I do it? If the answer is a yes, yes. If the answer is a no, it's fine, you move on. And don't this is a life experience that I'm sharing with you, which will hold true for all of you. For any situation, either there is a yes or there is a no, correct? So don't hesitate. Ask that. What what worse will happen? Someone will just say a no, right? Nothing more than that will happen. It's fine, and people appreciate that. Now we might feel down that sometimes, okay, I might have asked somebody something and he said is no straight, on the face of it, right? But I have had situations where that person came back to me and said that I really appreciated how I really appreciated your attitude that day when I said no to you, because you never lost your heart, right? So it's important that you ask questions. It's okay that if you find an answer as no, it's fine, completely fine, right? But you need to make sure that you are asking those questions. So build your personal brand, very, very crucial. Your profile should be, so these two slides are something which are self-readable, building a great profile and building your personal brand. I also have some tips and tricks on how you should share updates on LinkedIn and how you should share long form content or long form posts on LinkedIn. No, I have kept on reiterating this throughout my talk today. Be authentic, be genuine. Post frequently. If it's okay if you post once a day or maybe once in 2 days, you don't have to say that, okay, I'll just have to post on a Friday. And the algo doesn't work that way. The algo recognizes engagement. The algo doesn't recognize frequency of your posts, right? Start a conversation or share a point of view. Okay, as I mentioned, include rich media. There is a lot of media that you can use now. Apart from your single image ads, you can use videos, you can use GIFs. So experiment, right? You can also put up your class presentations also and say to the world that, hey, we have made this presentation, our faculty really appreciated our efforts. What do you think? And then you will see people engaging with it, people giving you pointers to help you improve further, which you take in. Okay, and then you also give your point of view. And the most important thing is that, create an opportunity for reciprocity. So it has to be a give and take relationship. Can't be only give, can't be only take, right? And best practices for publishing content, creating a headline, very important. uh, I have shared some stuff. You can feel free to visit my profile as well. I do write a bit. Not I would love to write more, but honestly, my bandwidth is a huge challenge always. But I do still write, so you can get inspired, you can get motivated, you can take down pointers. Feel free to visit my profile. There's a lot of stuff out there. It's open for all of you. Okay. um, Include a photo. The key thing is that when you are writing, think about the audience that you are writing for, right? So call out that audience, whether that audience is for teachers, whether that audience is teachers. If that is for teachers, call out, say hashtag teachers. Or if you are trying to communicate with HR executives, for example, call that out. The HR executives, please, I need help, or this is something that I have thought about. What you guys think about it? So all those tips and tricks really help. And article length also matters. So try to be crisp, try to be precise, but most importantly, try to be genuine and authentic. Right? I'm sure that you guys will ace it, will nail it. Right? So with that, I hope this was not a long monologue for you guys. I know that you are at the end of it, maybe a tiring day of presentations, by the faculty, and you guys have just started your course. So without any further ado, I would love to get into the questions part, if you have any.
Definitely, it was a pleasure listening to you. And no, I don't think it was a monologue. It was actually interesting, and things that they really need to work on, all of them. So before we really move on to the question and answers, I would request our Director General, Professor Bhumika, to join us and share a few thoughts of hers as well. She's handling our CRC, the placement cell, as well. Ma'am, please.
Yeah, thanks. So great session, Sumavo. I think it was extremely, I would say, simple, direct, yet super relevant, and super relevant for our students, and even for us. I think students are looking forward as to how they can use LinkedIn. So I think that was such a relevant session. And the fact that you mentioned about the recession when you guys passed out, I remember that was a year I had joined in, and I was like, where have I come, because I had to get, I was just learning that time how to, look into things. But like you mentioned, I think your batch worked really hard that year. It was, I still talk about it. You guys were probably the most hardworking batch I've seen till date, because you knew that this big challenge has come and you guys need to face it head on. So and being part of the CRC, you all worked, I think, pretty much as we did, or probably much more than that. And it gives us, great pleasure, and we feel super proud when we see that, alumni from your batch are doing so well. It's, I think, like a great feeling for us as well. So having said that, I will, there are a lot of questions students have been putting up, and it was definitely not a monologue because they want to know much more from you. So I'm going to hand it over to Professor Sangeeta and Professor Manika, who will take the questions.
Yeah, thank you, Bhumika ma'am, for this opportunity. I think I was really looking forward to it, as I had mentioned to you. Excited by this, and happy to partner with your students.
Because we could get you, because it was an online session, and I know you're based out of Bangalore, so getting you online was much simpler than getting you offline.
I'd love to visit the campus. It's been years, and I'm the guilty party on that.
No, totally. We'll probably get you as soon as things get normalized. We'll get you here as well.
Sure, my pleasure, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll begin with the questions, and quite a lot of questions have been put over here. So I'd like to request Professor Manika as well to join us for the question and answers. But I'll just begin, and there's one lovely question which has just caught my eyes. So this is Samiksha, and she's asking us, would you like to share some memories of NDIM?
Hey, Samiksha, you're making me young today. Good question. So my favorite memories, right? It has to be from my batchmates. It has to be from Veena ma'am's class. I'm sure that you will have Veena ma'am's class as you go along.
We do.
Yeah. So I don't know if she is aware about it, but I'm a big fan of her. I consider her my mentor, although I have never said to her this, but Veena ma'am was my guiding light when I took up marketing as a specialization, right? I was this guy like who didn't know what to do, but Veena ma'am, I think, put that focus in me that, hey, you can do it, right? And I've never regretted that decision, right? I honestly, in my spare time, sometimes I still, reminiscence those notes, some of those live examples, right? Because as you might have figured out, folks, I'm a very practical person. I don't operate at 40,000 feet. Okay, I'm a very, very on the ground person, and Veena ma'am, I felt, was a person like that because she was very on the ground. She was a consultant at that point of time. She was a visiting faculty for us at that point of time, right? And she used to bring those real world experiences, which kind of encouraged me, which motivated me. So that was one class that I never ever missed. All right. The second good memory that I had was all those college, fests that we had. Apart from other things that we used to do, but the college fest, whether it was some college in Rohini or whether it was in Gurgaon, and trust me, it always used to happen in that December, January, February time frame when it was very cold and chilly in Delhi, right? Having lived in Bangalore, summers were tough for me, correct? And that was one of the reasons I left Delhi, to be very honest, right? I couldn't bear the summers, but winters I still love. Sometimes I just come in on the pretext of office work in December, Jan, to Delhi just to experience that winter, that cold, that chill in the air. So I think we spent a good amount of time. I still remember one of my friends, Ketan and me. Ketan and me were quiz partners, and we won a 5,000 rupees check in IIL and Gurgaon for a quiz competition. We came first in that. That was the first official paycheck for us in our life, official paycheck, right? Because it was a check, 5,000 rupees was written there, and it was like I'm still getting goosebumps as I recollect that memory because I know I've seen many checks after that in my life, touch wood, but that still holds a very special place in my heart. So I think those are the two memories.
Lovely, lovely. And Professor Veena is there and she's thanking you as well.
Yeah.
It's great to hear this. And I think it's very important for every faculty to hear things like this. Okay, so Manika, would you like to take it forward?
Good evening, Somavo.
Good evening,
Great to
ma'am.
hear the lecture and really appreciate the part that you took up on the LinkedIn. So we have a question, Somavo, from one of the students, and they are asking that what are the intelligent risk? You had talked about intelligent risk during your session, and what are those intelligent risks that you personally took, in your career or while you were studying?
Yeah, totally. So if you look at my career graph, may I know who asked that question so that I can just personally like address him or her? Sorry, you're on mute, ma'am, I think.
Yeah, Samiksha Jain is the one who
Okay.
had asked.
Okay, hey Samiksha, good question. So if you look at my career graph per se, I was in, as I had mentioned, I was in the telecom industry for a bit, like for 4 or 5 years, although not entirely related to telecom. So I was in SaaS business, SaaS slash telecom, and then moved into full-time telecom for a couple of years with Vodafone Global Enterprise, right? So I was a BD rep out there, right? But I could see that the winds were slowly starting to change, right? At that point of time in the telco industry had, I think, 7 or 8 players, if I'm not wrong. We had all the players, right, from an Aircel to a Unicorn, or all those players were there. Tata, Docomo, all those guys were there. Vodafone, Airtel were of course there. Jio was just coming in, right? And I could see that this market, or this industry rather, would go through a bloodbath. Okay, and it was time that I moved into pastures. Although I was very experienced in telecom, but I also had to take this into consideration that the bloodbath was coming. Okay, so whether I want to stick to that industry or whether I want to explore one more industry. Okay, and honestly, today, if I look at it 5 years hence, okay, 5 years, it's been 5, 6 years that I have left telecom. It's been one of the best decisions that I have taken in my life, right? But it doesn't mean that I'm ruling out telecom for the entirety of my career, right? Things will come back again. Things will be normal again. Today, things are a bit shaky. There is only one big player, or it's becoming a bipolar industry. Vodafone is going through a bit of a turmoil themselves, right, in India, with mounting losses. But the key out here is that you research more, you read more, you learn more about your industry. That helps you take those decisions, which might be risks at that point of time, but might help you in the long run.
Any
Does that answer
specific,
your question?
So any specific risk that you took as a student? So we talked about, in your career, we talked about the risk that you took. Any specific risk that you took as a student when you were doing your MBA or maybe prior to that?
Yeah. Um, I can say prior to that. Okay, so I have been always been a decent student, right? I got in my 10th. I studied from. I belong to Assam, by the way. Been to the whole country right now. So I was one of the state toppers in my 10th standard, right? 12th I did decently well, right? I missed out on my medical by 5 marks. Did did get a seat in dental, didn't want to do it, flew off to Bangalore. I wanted to leave on my own, right? I took a biotech as my course, right? uh, my biotech at that point of time was sort of booming in India, right? It was one of the go-to courses that people used to pursue, and there were a lot of seniors also to guide us, help us, support us, and the overall biotech ecosystem per se in Bangalore was far more developed compared to other parts of the country, right? So that's why Bangalore was a natural choice. But then the choice came to me at the second year, in the cusp of from second year to third year in my graduation, that whether I want to continue with biotech or whether I want to go into management. Okay, so there was pressure from my parents that, okay, traditional middle class, lower middle class family, you need to do your MSc and then you do your PhD and stuff like that. But I knew in the heart of my hearts that what I wanted to do. And I had got into this small test of sales slash marketing during graduation. I used to host my college fest, like bring in sponsorships for college fest, which I really liked. Okay, so I thought that why not try it out. And at the end of the day, at that point of time, to be honest, I had taken a loan, and I'm being very very candid. Okay, I'm not being sugarcoating here. Money was very important, right? And I knew that I had seen it with my seniors also, that they had to struggle a lot if they pursue a MSc biotech or a PhD to start earning in life. And I was like the first child in my family, and I had a sister, younger sister also. So it was about how I can start earning fast and earning decently to help my sister's education, because my dad took care of me. So naturally, I had to kind of support, when it came to my sister, right? So that also, that I had also calculated that at the back of my mind. So it was a risk at that point because I was doing pretty good in my graduation. Was one of the university toppers as well, Bangalore University toppers. But then I took this decision that my gestation period, if I can call it that way, if I continued pursuing my biotech, would be like 7 8 years. It could be far more than that. But my gestation period for taking up a management course would be 2 years, and there was a delta of 5 years. So that was one risk that I took. In MBA, nothing. Yeah, to be honest, nothing specific. It was only thing. It was not a risk per se. It was thrust upon us, the economic recession that we had never accounted for. Right. That was a bolt from the blue, but it also toughened us up. Trust me, as Bhumika ma'am was saying, things were not easy for us. They were not given on a platter. We had to work really hard for it. And as I mentioned, the team concept became very clear during those 3 4 months of that recession that we were in the college, because everyone was pitching in. No one was thinking about themselves. Okay, then yourself or yourself was always there, but there was the other 240 odd students also, 239 odd students also that you had to take care of, and the CRC was working day and night. I still remember Ashwini sir and us having countless discussions late in the night, like, sir, how to do it, kaise karna hai. Matlab, we have to get everyone placed. It's not like me or you or anybody else. So I think that adversity gives you, other areas to succeed, or adversity opens up opportunities as well, right? So I think that was a classic case of how we turned adversity into an opportunity to kind of be closer together, work as a team, and make sure that everyone is taken care of.
Very true. So another question which Juhi Sad had asked Somavar is, you talked about dedication and determination. Now these two things we all know and everybody knows and everybody keeps on telling us are very important, but they are difficult to apply. So what can we do to apply them rightly?
Good question. Hey, Juhi. Yeah, it's a very cliched thing: dedication, determination, discipline. It starts with you. It starts with very simple things. Are you on time for your classes? It starts from there. Okay. Are you being attentive, or are you being engaging in your classes? Because the last thing that you want to do, especially in a management class, is sit quietly. If you have something in your mind, if you have something going in your head, no matter how stupid that could be, or no matter how kiddie that might look like, ask it out, right? So it all starts from those pieces. And at your age, or at the stage that you guys are, we also never appreciated focus and determination, discipline. I'm being very honest, okay? But 12 years down the line, I think those things really matter a lot. I remember Brigadier Sir. I'm not sure if he still visits the campus. Uh, he used to teach us management, uh, behavioral, organizational behavior and stuff, right? He always used to tell this focus thing, focus, and we used to play pranks. Okay, so we are also like you, like what sir always stays focused. But when we are in board meetings today, on corporate meetings today, the first thing that comes is focus. Okay, I have this car methodology that I always follow, car framework. Okay, it's about challenges, actions, and results, and it all boils down to how focused are you in all those three buckets. Okay, leave aside all the things in this world. It's relate that to your personal life as well. You have challenges, right? We all have challenges. What are the actions that you are taking to overcome those challenges, and what are the results that you are expecting? So what I also do is I start reverse engineering from the results. So I start thinking like, okay, this should be the result. So if this should be the result, what are the steps that I need to take at the back end to make sure that I reach that, or I am closer to that, right? So it's an everyday practice that you need to put in, and sometimes you need to put in consciously as well. As I said, the three Ds are very cliched, but it's very, very important. Not only for your management classes, it holds true for your personal life, and of course, it holds true for your professional lives as well. Does it make sense? Does it answer your question, Juhi?
Professor Sangeeta, you're on mute.
Yeah, I'm sure, Sumavu, you really answered the question well, and I'm sure they must have got that answer. So there's another question by a student, Prajita Ray. Now, they are looking forward to you telling them as to what things are changing during this pandemic and post-pandemic. What are the keywords for success, and what are the valuable skills that people would, or recruiters would, be looking at in students?
Yeah, Parajita. Firstly, I'm not a fortune teller, right? So, what things have changed for me, as I mentioned, I'm stuck at my home for the past 6 months. I have a 6-year-old kid at home, right? My wife also works, and we have two dedicated workstations. So for the first 3 months of this pandemic, when we were working from home, I didn't have a stable workplace per se, right? So I used to work in a study table or something or the other. So coming back to being more serious, a lot of things will change, right? Firstly, the perception that there was always this perception in corporate world, especially with Indian MNCs, and I have nothing against Indian MNCs, but since I've worked with global MNCs as well as Indian MNCs, I know a bit of a difference, right? Indian MNCs always think that people are not productive when they're working from home, which is not the case, okay, anymore. Because you see some of the balance sheets of big companies like an Infosys or a Wipro or an HCL out there, they are doing really well, right? Uh, they have to kind of adapted to this. The key thing is adaptability. Okay, so you you, for example, I break out my day into different parts. Okay, so I am not a person who works continuously for 8 hours, 9 hours, but I am a person who takes piecemeals. Okay, so I have my own schedules that I work around. So on a typical day, I have 5 to 6 Zoom calls, sometimes even more, and each of those calls are on an average 30 to 45 minutes. Okay, and then when do I work? So I work sometimes later in the night. Doesn't mean that it's a good habit, but it's just that it works for me. Now, it works for me as an individual, it might not work for you. Okay, so things have changed. It is not like I have to be in the office from 9 to 4:30 or 9 to 5 and then I finish off my work. It can be flexible. So adaptability, flexibility are of crucial importance. Being agile is very, very important. Okay, from a skills perspective per se, it depends on what you want to go after or what you want to achieve in life, right? From a marketing perhaps from a marketing perspective per se, uh, it's the best time to upskill yourselves, right? So think about stuff that you want to do, or if you want to go for HR, think of HR tech. HR tech is a very evolving space at this point of time. Okay, uh, if you want to go after finance, if you want to study finance, right? The research fintech stuff. So the key point that I want to share with you friends today is research, study, very, very crucial, right? Be economic time savvy. uh, in nowadays there was no app, there was no Android. We used to use those feature phones, correct? But today you have all the information at the tap of your fingers, right? So leverage that. We still used to look forward to the Economic Times copy in the college because we didn't have money to buy that, to be honest, at that point of time. So Economic Times used to be our de facto friend, and I for one was very interested in what was happening in the industry. Correct. So your skills are basically should be a subset of what you want to do in life, or how you want to grow your career. Correct. It's a very broad thing, because if you say I'm addressing a marketing sales classroom, right? Then my answer would be different. Then we will look at specific skills, right? But I would like to say you this, as I was mentioning, build your life skills, build your soft skills, build skills around how you can collaborate effectively, because those are things that recruiters look at. Those are things that leaders look at. How you are showing empathy towards others, right? How you can be, a calming influence to and to a maybe a uh, difficult environment around you. Okay, so think from those lines. It when we say skills, it doesn't have to be pure technical skills. It can also be some of the soft skills, some of the communication skills that you want to develop, right? One of the skills that you can think about is how you can improve your public speaking, for example. Are you a confident presenter, right? So these are skills that you need to think through, and you can start working, and it doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't have to be certified or something. You can start off with your friends, you can start off in your family also. So all these things you need to start developing as you go along.
Yeah, I think this answers the quite a lot of students who've been talking about specialization, like Himani or Prajita has also talked about. There were quite a lot of students who've been asking the same question. So I actually mixed it up and put it across. So Manika, I think we have very less time. We've taken a lot of time, and he's already told us that he's a very busy person. So
No, that's okay, ma'am. So anything for the college, as I mentioned to Bhumika at the beginning, it was good that we kept this the faggot, because I cleared off my calendar for the rest of the day. So I have my next call at 9:30 in the night. So that's okay. I can sleep.
That's so wonderful. That's
Yeah,
so wonderful. It's always good to give back to your alma mater.
absolutely. It's payback time for me.
Payback time. I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
So, Manika, would you like to go ahead with the next question?
We'll just take the one last question. So Himanshi is asking that, start of the lecture, you specified that, during the 2 years of your MBA, you upgraded onto your skills. You added some skills set to your resume or what. So what were those skill sets that you added when you were doing your MBA?
I would say, see, I came from a marketing background, right? So it was about showcasing my projects. So I was very, if you look at my LinkedIn profile also today, I still have my prognosis research project listed out there. Do I need it after 12 years? Perhaps not. But why do I keep it? Because I'm still proud about it. That was the first project that I did, right? And when you did a market research project, right, there are different elements, like whether you went to the market, you met people out there, you conversed with people. That's really, really important, right? Because whenever you're doing a management uh, uh, course, or rather you're going to a college, you are living in a cocoon. You are living in a very comfortable, four walls, right? But there's a bigger world out there, right, where you have to know how to kind of engage, how to converse, to get the best deal for you as well as for the person who you are engaging with, correct? So couple of things that I really worked upon consciously during my time is my presentation skills, right? Because during our days, there was this, the concept of presenting a project was perhaps not there during graduation days. So that was a huge leap for me when I came into my management program, right? So presentation skills per se. Making a presentation, I still basically I still struggle a bit. Trust me, guys. Right. So with great difficulty, I put my presentation today. But thankfully, I have people now who make the presentation for me. But it's all about uh, presenting in the right way or in the right context, right? And taking and thinking through a bigger picture. Correct. So uh, always ask questions. So one of the things that you all should start doing, irrespective of your streams, your focus areas, is start reading the P&L statements of companies. Try to make sense of it. Try to understand. Try to unlock for your own benefit. Okay, and then take up small projects with your faculties. For example, you read the Infosys uh, uh, P&L, right? Quarterly results or earnings report, right? What do you learn from it? Or take help from your faculty. Like, how should I read into it? Finance folks, there's a lot of numbers out there. Okay, so balance sheet, profit margins and all that. Okay, EBITDA, everything, right? Marketing folks, in that earnings report, you can actually figure out marketing or sales. For marketing and sales specializations, you can actually figure out what are the areas of expansion for them, what are the key growth pillars for them that they're focusing upon. Okay, for HR folks, if they are trying to expand to different territories, new territories, what are the kind of hiring that they will do, what is the kind of learning and development programs that they will initiate, stuff like that. Okay, so see, earnings report is an earnings report, right? But if you carefully look into it, it has elements for every specialization out there, right? And I think no, you will have Harvard case studies and all that. That will be coming in as part of your curriculum, right? But these are quick projects that you can do on your own. So the point out here that I want to make out here, folks, is that go beyond your curriculum, think beyond, and it is you who have to think beyond. Like, and it could be as mundane as I mentioned, improving your presentation skills or improving how you make PowerPoints, because PowerPoints will never go away in your life, trust me. Okay, so it is just the start of that grind. Okay, so make it's it's that time for you to learn. Like, nobody in the faculty will say that okay, Aparajita, you have to make a very good presentation. It is you who have to take that initiative and say that okay, I'll make the best presentation in this world. Okay, so figure things out and be always hungry for knowledge. Okay, this is the best time to gain knowledge. And again, you might find that okay, Sumavo is being cliched, but it holds good. Yeah, at that point of time you also found that to be cliched, but 12 years hence, those are habits that you grow. Although I have all the apps in this world, I still look forward to my Economic Times in the morning. Okay, so I still do that, or I still go to the Times of India and go to the business page and see what is happening. And it is not like I'm only reading about my own industry. You ask me what is happening in the world, I can tell you that. The objective is you can have conversations with people cutting across subject lines. So subject line should not be the limitation of your knowledge, of your engagement with people. You can talk easily about what RBI is doing with economy, as well as you can talk about what kind of amount SoftBank is investing in India. So you have to be comfortable with all of that. And you know the more you show to people that you are smart, you are intelligent, you become a magnet for others to come and gain knowledge.
This was really nice listening to you. So I would like to request our TG once again to join us, come in and propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sumavo. You've spent a lot of time with us, taken up so many questions and explained each and every one of them so patiently. And I think you've literally explaining your juniors everything so very nicely in detail, literally coming straight from your heart, which is really nice to see that. And I can only request that whenever things get normal, we would love to have you back on campus. It'll be really nice to see when face-to-face interaction with all the students. Even the second year students would love to hear from you. And you being at LinkedIn, that is one platform which, I mean, you mentioned that students across, the globe are using that maximum. So it'll be wonderful if you could have a specialized session only on LinkedIn as to how they can, use that platform and, kind of get maximum benefit out of it. Small little tips, like you shared about even putting up their picture on LinkedIn, which is so important. I think we kind of see that every day, the kind of pictures people put up there, and you kind of wonder as to, is this a LinkedIn or a Facebook platform? So small little things like that, I think, would really go a long way when it comes from, alumni like you, because we as faculty always keep telling the students, but when somebody who's working there kind of talks about it, it leaves a much bigger, impact. So I would thank you once again. I know you've been very, very responsive each time we've reached out to you. Sonam has been in touch with you. Probably Jaya also has been in touch with you. So we keep troubling you for various things. So it's always wonderful to have you back. And thank you so much once again for taking out so much time.
Oh, thank you, Bhumika ma'am. I think it's been an absolute honor and a pleasure on my part. And as I mentioned, you give value, you get value. So I have taken value from India. I'm just doing my small bit to give value back, right? And
I think that's what we kind of request all our alumni to do. That you come back and share your journey with our students, share what you've learned till now, and I think they kind of grasp that really well, because they kind of put themselves in your place and they know that you've been through the same drill, you've gone through the same journey, so it's very easy, it's very relatable for them.
yeah, absolutely. So what I'll do is I had one last slide. I don't know why it is not working. But yeah, okay. So now it's working. So this is my LinkedIn profile, guys. You have it. You will have it for sure. I have shared. Feel free to connect, right? And
you will have a lot of requests by the end.
yeah, I think I'll be honest, I have got some requests. I was just speaking with Sonam before the call, but keep them coming. I might not know all of you.
For asking your LinkedIn profile on the question answer chat also.
Yeah, so it's there, right there. So that's why I preempted that this question might come up. So it's right there. And if it will be great, folks, if you can just share a quick bio, like, okay, sir, we connected today or something like that, so that I know that as a reference, and I don't have to go to your profile, just accept it, blindside, right? So, and I want to do that, correct? And I'm always available if you feel that you have to.
that college section NDIM, so it will be easy for you to identify.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely, totally. So I just see, even if some juniors, people from later batches come in, I just see NDIM. I don't even go to their profile. I just say accept, right? So yeah, I mean, reach out for support, reach out for help. I also want to get inspired by all of you. It's a two-way street always. I want to learn from all of you. There are new things coming in this industry, so help me learn, help me upgrade myself as well as we go along together in this journey.
Thank you so much. It was a wonderful session.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And please don't hesitate if you feel like I can add any value to the community, both first year, second year. I'm just a call away. That's it.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Take care. Stay safe.
Yeah. You too. All of you stay safe, stay healthy, and keep the spirits up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See you.
Yes. Bye bye. Good evening. Bye bye.